Really. I'm an anaesthetist, and I also work extensively in patient safety and some leadership development as well. Um, and one thing I kept noticing that the people that I'm most wanted to help couldn't always be helped by more training or more advice. So, for instance, a doctor who may have just been involved in a safety failure doesn't need another lecture. They need somewhere to think and really consider things carefully. And so I found the coaching diploma provided a route to that. It's structured, it's grounded in evidence, but it also was a way of providing something that I thought or think is genuinely missing in that terms of that individual support and also within that leadership development space as well. I came to the course possibly expecting more tools, more technique in a way, and there are lots of tools, don't get me wrong, but I think my realization was the idea that if someone becomes genuinely aware of what's actually happening for them right now, I think something can shift. I certainly found that in personal coaching that I've had in the past. And that you don't have to push them towards an insight or hand them advice or a solution. I think it's that noticing that is the intervention for a lot of things. And I think if I made the other thing that surprised me is actually how difficult it can be sometimes just to stay in that present moment with someone. I think there's a real pull either to move to the past or to the future, to solutions, to let's consider what this all means. And that was something enlightening I found about the Gestalt approach, something I'd never even heard of before the coaching diploma. Sort of, I suppose that asks you to resist that pull and just be present, just be here. And that turns out to be much harder than it sounds and much more powerful than I expected. That has to be the coaching sessions themselves, and really starting to get some experience in that. I worked with a first year university student through 6 full sessions as part of my practice. And when it was coming to the end and she described her own experience as a blindfold coming off, that phrase just really stayed with me. I think there's something quite remarkable about being told that the most useful thing that you did was actually simply pay attention to somebody and listen to somebody. And that helps someone find their way through something that's really difficult for them. So I think it's the quality of that space you create that might be with an individual, but also in groups and facilitation. I think there's all of that. So that small group size really matters. It's not, it's not lectures that we're listening to. I've never met the other members of my cohort, but I feel like we're actually good friends already. So it's a real community, and I think that comes through really clearly. Lots of things. I interrupt less. I assume less. I think I'm more willing to let a conversation be quieter than maybe I'd once have been comfortable with. I think in the leadership facilitation work, I've noticed a shift in how I might be in the room. So I'm less inclined to fill silence with content. And I think it's probably given me a greater trust in what emerges when people are given a genuine space to think. So I think the diploma has actually done something I didn't quite expect. It hasn't so much taught me a new skill as helped me consciously reconsider how I am with other people. And that's in the coaching room, in the workshop room, in professional life, in every other bit of life as well. Two areas, I suppose, in particular. And the first I've mentioned already, and that's the patient safety work, the conversations with colleagues after sometimes serious incidents, I suppose, are some of the most charged and potentially delicate that you can have. So the coaching skills, I think, have changed the quality of those conversations. And the second is within that facilitation work, the design and delivery of those leadership development programs, bringing that coaching lens has really changed how I design that learning, and also try and translate some of those skills to people in those leadership positions as well, because I think creating that environment and listening to your team members are core skills that actually sometimes feel like they're in short supply. I expect this course to possibly challenge something you might consider part of your professional identity, being the expert, having the answer, solving stuff. I think coaching asks something different. I think it's one of the things it's asking is for you to be useful, but not necessarily answering. So sitting with somebody in that uncertainty, and that might be just as much your uncertainty as theirs. So I think there's a moment in coaching early on for me where you know what you would say if you were advising that person. And I think being able to let go of that, staying curious, that can feel quite strange as a doctor, but I think, again, really useful skills to start to draw on. I mean, skills, I think we've already got in a way: careful observation, noticing what doesn't fit. So in a way, it's not asking you to abandon the skills that we've already developed, but it's maybe just transferring them and using them in a slightly different way.